For his children's sermon on Easter, Pastor Jay talked with kids about resurrection being everywhere. It was really cute. They yelled, "Resurrection is everywhere," and they got these seeds to look at the world as a way that resurrection has been planted and it's popping up all over the place. I wonder how often we look at the world and see resurrection. How often do we see Jesus in our lives? That is what Martha missed in our text today. Jesus tells her that Mary has chosen the better way by sitting at the feet of Jesus, but he doesn't say that tasks are unimportant, right? We have this text that at least I have always sort of interpreted as like, I'm not supposed to do tasks, I'm supposed to just sort of sit in awe at God. But that's not actually what Jesus says. You see, Martha is just trying to be a good host. She's trying to cook and clean and do things that we all do very often so that we can welcome other people into our lives. Those actions are not wrong, and Jesus doesn't actually tell her that her actions are wrong. He just says that Mary, who has decided to see with awe and wonder, who has found joy in Jesus being present in their lives, that she has chosen the better path. And perhaps if Martha had simply said, "Hey, Mary, even Mary and Jesus, would you mind just helping me cook so that we can all be together longer?" Jesus probably would have said that Martha had chosen the better path because she would have recognized the joy present and still completed those tasks she had to do to be a good host, right? No one comes to our homes and we let them be messy and we don't offer them even a glass of water, right? When someone is in our life, we want them to feel comfortable and have what they need, but we do that so that there's joy in us being together, not out of obligation. Or do we? I know sometimes I've been guilty of doing things out of obligation and not the joy of the presence of someone in my home. So what Martha failed to do is she failed to look around at her life and see resurrection coming up, to experience the joy of participating in that resurrection. When you sit with Jesus, you are resurrected in spirit. He teaches you how to love more deeply and you feel loved and seen. And that resurrection is still in our world today. I know when I see a goose, I often think about goose poop, but how often do I think about the miracle that is that life? Because life, even geese life, is miracle. The amount of work and just plain chance sometimes it takes to be able to live in our world, that resurrection is a miracle. And so Jesus' words for Martha are that she should do her tasks as she needs to, but to see him in the world, to see moments of connection and joy and resurrection in the world. When someone crosses the threshold of our house, we think resurrection to this relationship. Whether it's a brand new relationship or a really old one, this is a moment of resurrection, of pouring love back in and experiencing the joy of being together again. And when we clean our homes, we think resurrection to our mental health, right? We all thrive better when we are in spaces that are not cluttered, when they're helping us to thrive. And so we think resurrection to this life for my family. And I don't know how much purpose or meaning you find in what you do during the day, right? Whether that's work or school or something else. But what if we thought resurrection, even if it's just a paycheck so that I can literally feed my family? But I bet there's something more there too. I bet there are moments of resurrection in the ways you spend your day that you're not even seeing. Resurrection to your passion for a hobby, resurrection to the way that you see nature and the way God is in the world. Resurrection is everywhere. And it can be hard to see sometimes if we're focused on our to-do list, if we're focused on the things that need to get done. The way of life Jesus is teaching us today is one of seeing life as joy, as love, as not obligation, but something you get to experience, something you get to participate in. I have a friend who was just in a bit of a rut recently. He couldn't see much purpose to his days other than going to work and coming home and doing his tasks and walking the dog and going to bed. He was in a bit of a rut, and he knew that some people kept gratitude journals and that worked for them, and he knew a lot of people said prayers every day and that worked for them, and he'd sort of tried those things and it didn't quite work out. So someone suggested to him, since he did own a dog, that he just didn't think about what he had to do next while he walked his dog. That's it. The only change to his life. So he figured he would try that. So every morning when he walked his dog, he would leave his phone at home and he would intentionally not think about what was coming up for him. And then when he got home from work, he would walk his dog and he would leave his phone at home and he would intentionally not think about what was coming up tomorrow or if he had to do any chores that evening. He did this for a while and he started to notice that he knew his neighborhood a little bit better. That makes sense. If you're not looking down at a phone or thinking about a to-do list, you're going to know the houses on the street a little bit better. And then a few weeks later, he started to notice that he knew the faces of people in his neighborhood a little bit better. He knew people that he would more regularly say hi to. And then a few weeks later, he noticed that he was finding more time for activities in the evening. And he realized that constantly thinking about what he had to do was actually taking more space in his life than he thought. Yes, we all have to do laundry, but he realized that the more often he thought about having to do laundry, the more time laundry took, because in addition to the actual time laundry takes, he was thinking about it constantly. And he realized that, yeah, he would go to work and work his day and get his things done, but it was no longer taking the time before work out of his day. So he was making better breakfasts and finding time to read a book before work. He learned that by being present in whatever moment he was in and letting what comes next come next when it comes. That was a confusing sentence, but letting 8 o'clock be the start of his workday as opposed to 6:30 gave him space to breathe and to see the world around him, to make connections with people on the street, and even a better connection with his dog. He had been caring for his dog before, but now he was enjoying the presence of his dog. The story of Jesus isn't only about the resurrection and God creating new life in this world. It's about what happens on the way. And on the way, Jesus is present in whatever moment he's in. He foreshadows the resurrection. He says, I am going to Jerusalem. I'm going to do something. But he stops and he sits with his friends along the way. He invites us into a life of being present. We might have a plan for the future, how we might love more deeply in the future, but we are called to be present now. All along the way to Jerusalem, Jesus sits with people. If he had a cell phone, he would have put it away. He walks through these neighborhoods, right? He is present with people, finding joy in the moment. And that's what we are called to do. So maybe this week, you leave your phone at home. Maybe this week you invite someone over to your home even though you don't think you have time or it's going to interfere with something else on your to-do list. I don't know what being present looks like for you, but I do know that you will see more resurrection the more present you are. Amen.